Hi everyone, you're with Lucy from Artshed Angel, and I'm so glad to have you here in my studio. Today we're going to play with some alcohol inks. Got a bit of a storm happening outside, so you might hear some extra kind of noises. That's actually a storm, and we haven't had rain for quite some time, so I'm quite excited. So we're going to do alcohol inks. If you enjoy my videos, please make sure you click that button below and click that bell so you get told when I'm going to put another video up. So join me, and also you can join me on Live Art Journaling and Self-Development, the group that I have with Jolene Payne, where we do 2 free videos in the group every week. So if you want to get in and join us, please do. But now let's get started with the alcohol inks. When you're using alcohol inks, you need to do them on a paper or a substrate that is not porous. So one of the things that is available is what's called Yupo paper. Now it's quite expensive, but there really is no throwing away with this stuff, so it's actually good value for money anyway. And what I've got here is a translucent Yupo paper, and I've also got a thicker, more robust one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do both pages today and show you how much fun it is. So I'm also using a hairdryer. In this case, it's actually a hairdryer. It's got a bit of paint on it. It's not a heat gun, so it is a hairdryer. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use one of these clipboards. So I found the clipboards are really useful because I can put my paper on here, and what I'm going to do is use some paper tape or masking tape, and I'm going to stick this down onto this board just so that I can pick it up and do things with it and maybe get the paint to flow a little bit as I'm working. So if you've got an old clipboard, now it will get paint on it or alcohol ink on it. So I'm going to go all the way around so I get a nice edge all the way around. You don't need to, you could just put little spots in the corners, but I'm thinking I might like a white edge on this. So I'm going to go all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to do some really basic things with the alcohol inks. I'm going to use a lime green. I'm using the Pinata one. There's Tim Holtz and a whole lot of different brands that you can get, but I'm just going to use these ones that I already have. So I'm going to use some Sunbright Yellow, some Lime Green, and I think for this one we're going to use a Sapphire Blue, and we might just see how that goes. I want to do kind of a washy, kind of watery background. So in this bottle here, I have some of this extender or flow. You can get a flow medium, but you can use 99% isopropyl alcohol as well, and whichever you've got, you can put it in. Now I'm just going to drop this in like puddles on the page. So I'm putting quite a little bit on, and then I'm going to take my ink and I'm going to put drops of that ink on the page, and you can see how magically it just starts to grow. Now the fun part about it is if you then take another colour, you can put more drops of another colour. Now you only need smallish drops, and it doesn't take a lot. Probably don't even need the green because you can see how beautifully that green is actually coming through. Now one of the fun things with the hairdryer is not blowing directly on it, so put it on the lower setting and direct around it. Now I've got this beautifully, I'll just move it over here so you don't have that reflection. So I might just put a piece of paper. Unfortunately we have video lights, and the video lights do show up. So there we go. It's a little bit less anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to keep going and put a little bit more on. And you can see how that's just expanding and looking really lovely. And I'm going to take a little bit more the blue. Now, you can just let it grow like that, or you can start putting drops of just the alcohol in, and you can see how that just spreads it even more. I just like this bubbly effect. I might use this to put a seahorse or something like that on. So just the alcohol. Sometimes we use too much of the actual inks and we don't let them do enough on their own. Now the wonderful thing about this is that you can get some pouring effects by doing this. Now you might not like, I'm liking that I'm getting almost like a seaweed effect. If I held this up this way, it has almost like a seaweed effect there. Now, we also do have alcohol inks that have glitter in them, but I've got some powdered glitter, and I'm just going to tap some powdered glitter. Not glitter, it's mica. Sorry, it's mica. And I'm just going to tap some of this mica into it. Because the alcohol inks are quite sticky, it will hold the mica. So this is just a bronze, very fine bronze powder, almost like Pearl X. And I'm also going to take my dropper again and make that do some crazy things. You can see that even when it starts to dry, you can add some colours. So I've only used here 3 colours, and I've ended up with a lovely background, which I think almost deserves a seahorse or something like that. So in one of my other videos, I'm actually going to use this piece, but you can see you can let that glitter move. You can see the glitter. So rewarding and easy to do. And I sometimes will actually get this, any extra ink that you have, and rub it on this tape, because you can put that tape aside and use it in your artwork, which is so much fun. So I hate wasting. So that's just a really simple technique. And I'm just going to take it, I'm just going to let it drip just that little bit more. I'm a lover of drips, so how pretty is that? And with the metallics through it, almost deserves a mermaid, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to dry that off from high. That'll still make it move. Now what I wanted to say is that Yupo paper is a plastic-based paper, so if you use your big heat guns on it, you can end up with a real buckled page. So that's why I'm using a hairdryer in this case, and I do find it also beneficial to let it air dry. So I'm going to put this aside and let it air dry while we play with the other piece. So this is just some beautiful colours, and you saw how quickly and easily that went. I'm sorry about the reflection on that. Okay, so we're going to put some other paper down now, and I'm going to put it down here, and this time I'm just going to put some corner bits on it just so that it stays in place. You can see there's some paint in the bottom. You don't need much tape. We just don't want it creeping around. Now this is the translucent one, and the fun part about the translucent one is you can put it over the top of things. So what I would like to do is I want to make a really lovely coloured outfit for this, so I would like to do something that this can be the underneath. So I think I'd like this to be pinks and maybe some more of that sapphire blue. And I'm also going to use passion purple. So I'm just going to make sure that I use these three colours. So I'm using sapphire blue, senorita magenta, and passion purple. And I'm just going to again drop, oops, take the lid off, it works better. Just going to wet it down a little bit. Now you don't have to wet it this much. And I'm actually going to take this pink. Look at that colour. Okay, I'm just going to tilt that up so you don't get that. And I'm going to use a makeup sponge to spread it. So I'm just using, this is just an ordinary makeup sponge because I want her dress to be pink. I'm just using this like that. Okay, now I'm going to take my purple, just put that underneath there so you can see it properly. And I'm just going to put some dots of the purple and some more of this to spread the purple. And I'm going to just get my mat and let it roll around a bit. I don't want the purple to, I don't want this background to be too dark. So I'm going to let it bleed. And if you're finding a piece is too dark, just take your makeup sponge and you can see you can actually colour an area. I kind of like this effect as well because I can make like cloud looking areas. You can see this is kind of sort of more cloudy looking. Everything's quite shiny with this video. I maybe need to make this in the daytime without the camera lights. So I'm just going to use a little bit, a few more drops to make it spread. You can see how once you put these on, it starts to spread again. And this time I'm going to use a tiny bit of the sapphire blue, and I'm only just touching little bits. I love how you get these wonderful sort of outliney, or they almost look like cells. And I'm just going to use my hairdryer again to give them a little push around. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more on the whole thing and just give some extra bits of pink. Now this is all layers, so it's quite thin. And I'm going to let it drip. And almost mix together. I'm really liking how those colours are all sort of going together like that. And I'll just give it a bit of a heat blast again. And then I have in my kit, I actually have one that is gold. It's not forest green. Forest green. Okay, so this one here is copper. You do need to make sure that you shake it well before you use it. And truly, I should have probably stored it upside down. But I'm going to take this one now and just put some drops of this metallic copper, and that looks fabulous. And I may even get that copper and give it a little bit of a rub around, and then do some streaks of copper. It's very alive. The metallics are so alive. It's really lovely. I love the gold too. So I'm just doing some really, I'm hardly pressing it, so there's hardly any ink coming out, but I'm getting those lines with the copper ink. And then just a couple more dots. And you can see that you end up with really, really lovely paper. So I'm going to let that naturally dry. I don't want to lose these beautiful rings. I might see if I can turn my lights off and see if we can get a better look. Okay, that's better. We don't have those lights and it's a little bit darker, but it's still bright enough. So you can see there the beautiful colours that we have within that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put her underneath that when it's dry. So I'm going to just put this aside to dry, and we'll do one more piece. So you can see, oh, I'm really loving that. And the lovely thing about this is that as it dries, it absolutely keeps the same colours as it did before. So it doesn't actually fade or dry where it's not quite as pretty. So we have some beautiful things there to use in our journal or whatever we like, a card. So the next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to do one more piece, and I am going to use this one again, the translucent one. I'll do it again because this time you can see without the thing. I'm just going to put a bit of this down. Now how wet you make this will determine how much your inks bleed. So I've put quite a bit there. Now making sure that, always make sure you shut your bottles. As you saw, I didn't shut those properly. What you want to do is make sure you shut it properly. One of the reasons is they are alcohol based, and as you know, alcohol does disappear really quickly. So I'm doing the pink here, and I'm going to do, I think I have another blue, which is, that's sapphire again, so we're using very much the same colours. Now what I want to show you too is if I actually use a green here, I'm not going to get a terrible result. So you can do things like join dots together. And I'm going to use Rainforest Green. And the green next to the pink doesn't even make a terrible colour, which it absolutely would in any other kind of art. So you can blow this around with either your heat gun, or you can blow with it like that. You can let it drip. I really love the effect when you let it drip and run. I think you end up with kind of waves. Now when you get the heat gun, if you don't blow the heat directly on it, you go around the edges. So we're getting some really interesting colours there. I'm going to now put a little bit more of this bright pink in. it's just endless. You can. The funniest thing about it is you cannot reproduce one. So if you make something, it's almost impossible to make 10 of the same. Of course, you can make similar, but you can't make exactly the same. If you get a little bit of alcohol and a fine brush, just give myself a fine brush, you can make little tiny dots and textures. And I like just going through and making little dot paths. So almost like you do in where you're doing mark making in your normal art journal, you can do those sort of things here too with your plain alcohol. Now you can see that really does dry up very quickly, so you don't have lots of time to play with it if you put the alcohol out. So make sure you get those lids on your alcohol containers. Now you can see there's some really thick bits in that, which I'll thin down a little bit by letting them pour. But if I heat them up with the heat gun, okay, so what I've done, I've caused it to really move around. So if I like that, I can leave it just like that, or I could add another layer now. So I'm thinking I really would like to add another layer to this one. So you can see here how you can just keep going. Don't waste too much ink on one, but you can absolutely keep going. I sometimes do one and I don't particularly like it, so I do another. Now that looks to me just like a piece of granite or what do you call it, marble. So I'm not going to do too much to this. I'm actually just going to get a brush and play with getting that kind of granite look, or a piece of agate. So this is almost turned from what was quite a little bit dreary, I thought, to a very nice background. So I'm not going to play with that anymore. I'm going to let that dry because I'm very, very happy with that. And if you force dry it, you do have the chance of pushing stuff around. So in this case here, I don't want to force dry it. So I'm just going to put it over there to dry. And I just wanted to show you the translucent one I have just done. Now I can just see her dress through there. So I'll be able to put this on a light box and I'll be able to trace her dress out and cut her dress out. So tomorrow my video will be about doing a page using my lovely lady and some of this beautiful paper that I've created. So you can see here it's translucent. It's really, really lovely. So please have a go and let me know whether you like it. Thanks everybody, and remember, please, if you like my video, make sure you click that button below, and also if you like my videos and you want to see more, please join us on Live Art Journaling and Self-Development on Facebook. Thanks very much and have a lovely day. Bye.